Hello, my name is Chris and I'm a U-Haul hitch professional. Installing a hitch on your Subaru WRX can lead to some amazing adventures, such as biking, camping, or road trips to your favorite destination. You can even tow a U-Haul trailer just about anywhere in North America. Now, let me show you how we complete this install. You will need the following tools and supplies to complete this installation. We will begin the installation in the trunk area. Let's go ahead and remove any floor mats, floor coverings, as well as the styrofoam underneath. We can now remove our rear scuff panel by undoing 3 clips, and we're going to use a flathead screwdriver to pop the center and perhaps a trim retainer tool to pop it out if it struggles to come out. We can now remove our side trim by popping 3 more retaining clips. One is right here behind the wheel well. Number 2 is up here in the top of the trunk. And number 3 is right here behind the tail light. You can now gently pull back your trim and expose your tail light. Now repeat for the other side. You can now remove your tail light by unplugging the electrical connector and removing 3 nuts with an 8mm socket. You can now pull the tail light away from the vehicle by sliding off a trim clip right here. Now repeat for the other tail light. We are now ready to remove 10 push pin retainers from underneath the bumper. There is 3 behind the driver's tire, 3 behind the passenger tire, and 4 in the center of the rear of the vehicle. Use a flathead screwdriver and a trim retaining tool to remove the clips. Remove 1 push-style retainer from above each rear wheel. Depress the center and pry it out. You can now remove 2 final fasteners, one below each tail light, using a 10mm socket. Before removing our bumper fascia, we're going to go ahead and apply a double layer of masking tape along the seams, so when we return the bumper later, we can avoid any light scratches. We are now ready to gently remove the fascia from the vehicle. This may be a good time for you to grab a second set of hands to help hold the bumper for you. As we gently peel away the clips, we need to push up from underneath on the bumper. We are now ready to remove the factory bumper beam. You can do this by removing 6 fasteners, 3 from each side, using a 14mm socket and an extension. You can now remove the bumper beam. We need to lower our exhaust and remove our heat shields, but first let's support the exhaust with a strap. Remove 2 rubber isolators from each side of the vehicle. One is directly rear behind the body of the vehicle here. The second one is directly behind the tire. Use exhaust removal pliers to remove the rubber isolator. Your rearmost rubber isolators will be removed from the vehicle to allow for the hitch installation and will be reinstalled later. You may find it convenient to remove a 5th rubber isolator here forward of our all-wheel drive components to get even more clearance for when we install the hitch. You can now lower your heat shield by removing 4 fasteners using a 10mm socket. Repeat on the other side. Now remove 2 rubber plugs, the rearmost and your forwardmost. Repeat for the other side. The directions do not call out this step, but we have found that we need to enlarge our forwardmost access hole using a power drill with a step bit in order for our hitch mounting hardware to pass through. After enlarging our hole, we will go ahead and spray on some rust prevention in the form of a zinc galvanizing compound. Allow to dry before moving forward. We're now ready to trim the heat shields. We need to trim out this rear rectangular shaped divot to allow the rearmost bolt to come through. I will make the cut using tin snips or aviation shears, and we will do this on both heat shields. We are now ready to fish wire the hardware into the frame. There is a 1/2-inch bolt, a star washer, and a custom spacer. Put the coiled end of your fish wire into the rearmost bolt hole and bring it forward to our forwardmost access hole. Place on your custom spacer, star washer, and then your bolt. Insert the hardware one piece at a time and then pull it out the desired hole with the fish wire. Remove the fish wire by gently spinning backwards for reuse on the other 3 bolts. For the forwardmost bolt, we will do a reverse fish wire. Place on first your spacer, your star washer, and then the bolt, and then place them into the access hole in reverse order, and then pull them back out with the wire. Repeat on the other side. We can now return the heat shields. Do note that we will only return 2 of the 4 fasteners. The fasteners in the frame will not be reinstalled. The hitch will sandwich the heat shield into place. We're now ready to raise the hitch into place. This hitch will go in a unique fashion due to its long plates. We're going to need to get it in at an angle and over the exhaust. We're going to hang it on a lip at the back of the vehicle, and then we're going to spin it and roll the plates into place. At that point, you will need a second set of hands to hold it in place for you while we install the hardware. Be sure to line up your hardware and not lose it in the frame. You can now install the remaining hardware, 2 flat washers, a lock washer, and then your nut for each of the 4 bolts. We can now return the factory bumper to the vehicle. Hold the bumper in place while you affix 2 nuts so that the bumper does not fall while you affix the other hardware. You can now tighten and torque the bumper hardware to the manufacturer's specifications. We will link them in the description below. Use a 14mm socket as before with an extension. We're now ready to make modifications to the bumper. We need to remove our factory knockout. Now flip the bumper to reveal the section we need to cut. We will be trimming these 2 flanges off, as well as a little bit of this edge, taking care not to fully cut this hole for the tab of the knockout. So we've colored all the red, and we're going to go ahead and trim that off. The second trim cut is optional. You can trim out a 3-inch by 5-inch section of the lower bit of panel to allow you to access your receiver pin later on. However, if you prefer to leave this, you can remove the 2 trim clips every time to pull on the fascia to gain access. Our customer is okay with this trim. You can use a metal file to clean up the frayed plastic. We're now ready to reinstall the fascia on the vehicle. Once lined up, press in the center. Now push in the remaining tabs under the tail light recess. We can now push in the final clips on the passenger side. You're going to want to pull the bumper to get this first tab to start locking in. You can now reinstall your rubber isolators using soapy water if needed. Remove your exhaust strap. Now that the bumper has been reinstalled, we've confirmed the factory knockout is lined up to the hitch. We can go ahead and torque those frame bolts to the manufacturer's specifications. We're going to use a 3/4 socket and an extension. We can now reinstall all the underbody clips. To reinstall your 2 wheel well push pin trims, you must push the center back out in order to install it, and then push the center back to flush. Now reinstall the 2 screws below the taillights. You can now reinstall your taillights. Reaffix your 3 fasteners with an 8mm socket. Tighten snugly, but do not over-tighten. Reconnect your electrical connector. You can now replace your trim panels. Replace the rear scuff panel and reinstall the 3 push clips. You can now return all the floor coverings previously removed. Now that our hitch is installed, we've pulled the vehicle onto level ground to show you some important measurements. This is a 2-inch hitch receiver. From the pinhole to the end of the bumper is 3 inches. From the ground to the top of the receiver is 15 inches. Also note, from the pinhole back to the vehicle is 2.5 inches. Your accessories cannot be longer from pinhole to the end, 2.5 inches. These measurements should help you determine the necessary length, rise, or drop of your hitch accessories like a ball mount, bike rack, or cargo carrier. If you have any questions about the products seen in this video, or if you'd like to schedule an installation with your local U-Haul hitch professional, please visit us online at uhaulhitches.com. You can also download the U-Haul app using the link in the description for even more ways to manage your hitch and towing needs.